What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition Penn State 365 podcast. I'm your host, as always, Richie O'Leary, joined by my co-host, Dylan Callahan-Crawley. Both of us, HappyValleyInsider.com, writers, editors, just kind of do it all, basically, for the website, a.k.a. PennState.Rivals.com or PennStateOn3Rivals.com. I don't know anymore how it really works. Just because the recent news, if you guys haven't heard already, On3 has acquired Rivals, and we are now all under one umbrella. It's going to be interesting to see how everything works going forward. But as of right now, everything's still status quo. We're still running our pod. We're still running our sites, and we'll just kind of take it from there. Excited to kind of work with some of the other guys that I've worked with in the past or worked alongside over at the Penn State On3 site. So this is going to be really exciting. As you can already tell on social media, Shannon Terry's already teased a couple things that Rivals publishers and Rivals subscribers are going to get a bunch of new different features over the next couple weeks, next couple months, next couple years even. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. There's really not a better time than ever to sign up too, by the way. And we still do have that promo going on. It's B1G3F, 4 months for the price of one. You sign up today, you get 4 months for $10. So really can't beat that.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're going to sign up, you should sign up right now because your subscription value is only going to get much stronger. I think they're eyeing sometime maybe in July or August for everything to go official. So, once that happens, your subscription is only going to be worth that much more, especially with the talent that is already on 3. It's going to be really. We don't know what our futures may hold right now, but what I do know is the future for the subscribers is really, really bright.
Yeah. So let's get into what we want to talk about today. You posted the depth charts, some controversial takes on there from some, or at least that's what the fans are saying. But you would know better than most. So let's just go through it position by position group. Most obvious one, quarterback. We know Drew's the guy. Drew's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But after that, it's now, I thought going into spring, we were like, hey, it's Gronk, QB2. Like, he's the future. Now, is that the case anymore? Because Smollett looked pretty good in the spring.
Yeah, no, we talked about this on the last podcast. Jackson Smollett coming off that injury last year. Not many people thought that he was going to be, really in contention for that number 2 spot with Ethan Grunkmeyer, who, we saw take snaps in the college football playoffs, albeit in garbage time against SMU, but took snaps in the college football playoffs. Was the number 3 guy last year behind Bo Pribula because of Jackson Smollett's injury. But Jackson has come back from that injury and really hasn't missed a step, it seems. Had a really strong spring, had a very nice spring game, made a lot of nice throws. I thought he was the best quarterback on the field in the spring game. Now, that doesn't mean that Drew had a bad game. It just means that Drew is kind of doing more pedestrian things that, you're going to expect him to have a little bit more pedestrian spring type game there. Jackson trying to, continue to elevate his stock, had a really nice game. Ethan was solid as well, but Jackson and Ethan are going to go head-to-head in this quarterback battle into the fall. It's going to be a fun one to watch to see who is that number 2 quarterback, and it's going to be an important one because we saw last year Penn State lost Drew against Wisconsin. They had to rely on Bo to come in against Wisconsin, win that game in the second half. Mm-hmm. It's hard for a quarterback to stay fully healthy for, not just 12 games, but if you're going to make a deep run in the college football playoffs, what is it, 15, 16 games at the end of the day? Yeah. So it's tough for a quarterback to stay healthy that entire time. Whoever is that number 2 guy is going to get plenty of snaps in the first 3 weeks. I would have to imagine Penn State should win all those games by, 30, 40 points probably at least. So should be plenty of playing time available for the backup in those situations. And just not in garbage time, but I'm sure they'll get packages of the backup quarterback with the first string offense out there in game situations as well. So we'll be really interested to see who wins this battle. But this one is neck and neck going into the fall. And then, that third string spot, don't even really want to talk about Penn State having to get to that spot because if they do, that is disaster just because they would be down 3 quarterbacks at that point.
Well, but technically 4th string, I guess, right?
I guess technically, 4th string. But yeah, if they get to that point, they're down 3 quarterbacks already. It would be Jack Lambert, the walk-on redshirt sophomore, or Beckham Kritz, the freshman. Mm-hmm. Both are nice kids. but I'm not sure either one would be ready to play Big Ten football this fall. So let's not even, think about that as a possibility for Penn State.
Yeah.
But those top three the top three are solid, I think, in terms of overall talent, their potential to play on Saturdays this fall if needed. Obviously, Drew is one of the best in the Big Ten. I think Penn State will have confidence no matter who they go with at number 2 in Smolik or Grunkmeyer that they will be able to play. Obviously, not lights out, high level football, but I think they'll have confidence they can do enough to win Penn State football games, especially with that backfield.
That's talking about the backfield. Nice little segue there, and that's why we're the professionals here. But Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, locked in. We know they are going to probably finish number 1 and 2 in all-time rushing yards for the program. Now, after that, I would have, again, this is another question mark for the backups. I probably would have said Corey Smith just based on what he did last year as a redshirt. Was he? No, as a redshirt freshman. I guess. True freshman. Yeah, but ended up redshirting because he didn't play the what do you call it? The over the 4-game limit. But then you saw Cam Wallace flash a little bit the season before. Now Quentin Martin, you have at number 2 though.
Yeah, so this was actually one of the more difficult positions to project this deep because this one is not by any means anywhere close to being decided. But I look at it, Corey Smith, 5'10", 177. A really good player, but that 177 kind of scares me. Like, can he withstand 12 games of Big Ten football at 177? Maybe.
Fair.
Cam Wallace could very well win that third string job, but coming off a pretty brutal injury last year that ended his season in September, those are the type of injuries that it could take a while for a running back to gain his confidence back. And then Quentin Martin, 6'1", 205, didn't light it up last year. Didn't necessarily light it up in the spring game, but he's a tough physical runner. And I right now think I would just give him a little bit of an edge over Corey Smith and Cam Wallace. Tyke Hayes is in that grouping as well. By no means is this a 100% going to happen projection. It's just how I feel right now. That's the whole, all these positions. None of these are a sure thing. Some of them are a sure thing, but most of them are not a sure thing. It's a lot of educated guessing, knowing what we see in the spring, what we know, etc. So we'll just right now I just feel Quentin Martin may have a little bit of an edge, but I think but by no means does he have a major lead over the other two. It like that backup quarterback spot, this is going to be a battle that goes into the fall and probably into the regular season. I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't see a solidified number 3 running back until that Oregon game, maybe.
That's perfectly fine too, because the 2 bell cows. I mean, you're going to see the field 95% of the time anyway. So,
right.
Moving on, let's go to receiver now. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We know the 2 transfers you have penciled in as starters. I think everyone kind of penciled them in the minute they committed, to be honest with you. Then Trevor Pena comes in. Now he's almost probably guaranteed a starting spot as well. What do you think of this unit compared to last year before we even get into like the backup spots?
Big fan of top 5. Liam Clifford, I said this, not a guy that is going to light up the stat sheet. Nothing overly special on the field. A nice quality player. As a starter last year, didn't love it. But when you consider him maybe that number 4, number 5 guy, that's a really good number 4 and 5 guy to have in the grand scheme of things. I think Penn State has
last year.
Yeah, I think Penn State going into the season has 5 guys that they could probably trust week in and week out to be reliable receivers. The 3 transfers, Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, Trevor Pena. That is, they don't have a guy there necessarily, but those are 3 guys that I think significantly raise the floor and ceiling of this wide receiver room. Are going to be much better than what Penn State rolled out there the last 2 seasons. It reminds me a lot of that 2022 room. Not necessarily a guy in that room, but 3 guys that when you combine them, put up some pretty solid production. That year was Parker Washington, Mitchell Tinsley, Keandre Lambert-Smith. This year, it's Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, Trevor Pena. and then you add Liam Clifford again, another solid, reliable hands receiver, and an emergent Tyzeer Denmark. I like that top five a lot. Obviously, you then have guys like Caden Saunders, Peter Gonzalez, Kobe Howard, Matthew Alden, who are all going to have the opportunity to play their way into more playing time this fall. I really think that we will see a decent amount of Kobe Howard. Peter Gonzalez is going to be interesting coming off a second, significant injury in 3 years for him. Junior year of high school, freshman year of at Penn State. So that'll be worth watching. But I really like Penn State's top five here, much better than last year's top five. I think it's going to pay dividends for Drew. And, if Drew's going number one or going in the top 10 in next year's NFL draft, I think this wide receiver room is going to be a big reason why he stays at the top of the draft.
Yeah. You mentioned the top five. Is there anything else you really want to talk about in terms of the other backups? I know you have Peter Gonzalez up there as a backup. He hasn't really played much.
Nothing in particular. I think Gonzalez is kind of a question mark. He, really looked good as a senior, was turning heads in camp last year before the injury. Got hurt, unfortunately, so we'll see where he is now. Caden Saunders is kind of also a question mark. Where is he? This is year 4. He was a top, I think, 100 prospect here on Rivals. This was a guy they expected to come in as a true freshman to make an impact. And here in year 4, we're kind of still wondering who he is, what he is. Last year was a lost season for him. He was seemingly banged up throughout the year. Was at practice some weeks, not at practice the other weeks. Didn't see him, I think, after week 3 or 4, it seemed, on the field. And then Kobe Howard was impressive this spring. Had a nice spring game. I think he's going to play himself into playing time just because he's kind of in that technician mode. He's a smart receiver, good hands, never going to put up major numbers, but is going to, kind of, I think of a guy like Deshaun Hamilton, not going to be overly explosive, not going to put up huge numbers, but a reliable pass catcher. And Matthew Alden is going to be, interesting to watch. Kind of raw still as a receiver, but the athletic traits are there. Same thing with Lyric Samuel, who raw physical traits aren't there, but probably still has, and he has added some weight, but still needs to add more weight, I think, before he's ready to go. He's at 187 as of the latest latest roster. So once he gets maybe closer to that 200 range for 6'4", I think we can start talking about him seeing the field more. Now he could add that weight this summer easily, so we'll see.
Yeah, but no, I mean not just weight. He needs the
muscle. He needs a bulk up.
He needs muscle. He needs that. His route running's still iffy. You see it on the clips, but then you see his hands, and you're like, holy. Look at that. That guy's got the talent. It just needs to put it all together.
Exactly. He came from an offense that really didn't pass the ball much in high school. So it's going to be, it may take some time there, but he probably has the highest ceiling of anybody in this room right now, just based off that combination of pure athleticism and speed and size. Penn State hasn't had that size at wide receiver in quite a while. If he can put it all together, that could be a monster waiting to emerge.
I'm gonna do it. Good call, Richie. Good call on Lyric Samuel. Just saying. I saw him in camps, man. Like it was like a cheat code. Basically, just chucking it up to him, like in those 7-on-7 circuits where you don't have to be a great route runner. All you have to do is just chuck it to the back of the end zone, and it's like, okay, watch this. One-handed grab. I'm like, holy, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah.
He was skinnier than me, and I'm relatively skinny, and I'm like, oh my god, that's concerning because you're a lot taller than me.
Yeah, he's got a lot of special traits. It's just about all pointed together. Some guys obviously can do that fairly quickly. Some guys it takes a while. Some guys never do. Hopefully for Penn State's sake, he's one of those guys that puts it together sooner than later. Don't know if we see much of him this year, but I think he could be in for one of those guys who has a big 2026. And looking at, they're gonna. I think all 3 wide receivers they brought in are 1-year eligibility guys off the top of my head. So they're going to need these young guys at wide receiver to step up for that 2026 season as well. So maybe we see him a bit this year, but he's definitely a guy I'm eyeing up for a 2026 breakout.
I mean, listen, if anyone could put weight on that guy or on any single player in the country, it's Chuck.
Wisconsin couldn't put weight on Nolan Rucci for 4 years, and he comes to Penn State and within a couple months is getting 15, 20 pounds or whatever. So
Great segue, Dylan. Perfect again on let's talk offensive line. Offensive line room. Starters kind of locked in, basically. We kind of already
More or
knew
less.
that, though. Once
Yep.
JB Nelson transferred, that essentially sealed the deal for Cooper Cousins at guard. But we're going left to right. Drew Shelton, Big Ione, Nick Dawkins center, Cooper Cousins right guard, Anthony Donko right tackle over Rucci.
It says or.
I didn't see the or. You are right. There's an or. Because you had me fooled there for a sec. I was a little shocked because Rucci just had such a good playoff.
Yeah, Rucci had a great playoff, but Donka had a fantastic regular season before the injury. What are they going to do? Like, what they're going to do there is going to be really interesting because they got two. If Rucci carries over what he did in the playoffs, they have two really damn good right tackles, which is a great problem to have.
Can't complain there. Right?
Is Donka going to be full go for the fall? We'll see. If he is, it gets really interesting. If he's not, Rucci's going to be the guy. Now, Rucci didn't practice all spring either. He was a little banged up as well. So, not an ideal situation to spring at right tackle, but I think they feel pretty good about that spot. And yeah, I mean, no matter who starts at right tackle, that starting offensive line for Penn State, I've said it, is going to be one of the best in the country this year. And I think it's a very huge testament to what Phil Trautwein has done the last few years. I remember that 2020 season, even 2021. I think there was a lot of dismay for what the offensive line was doing, but these last 3 years, Trautwein has really turned this into a huge strength for Penn State. And as we talk about in our text a lot, he's at the point in his recruitment as well where, there may be people who look at a guy that Penn State takes and be like, what the hell are they doing there?
Yeah.
And, some guys we may not agree with being a take, or like we may think it's a little bit questionable, but at the same time, Phil Trautwein has entered into that stage of his coaching career in which at Penn State, in which we trust his evaluations. Like, I'm not going to second guess Phil Trautwein. Right now, everything he touches, it seems, turns to gold. Obviously, not everybody, but the development that he has had on that offensive line last 3 years has been quite incredible. He's turned a lot of 3-star prospects into solidified starters at the Big Ten level, and there's just more to come.
Not just 3 stars. Like Anthony Donkow is a perfect example of that 3-star. Vega Ione is a perfect example of that 3-star. And then you look, and it's like when you get him someone that already has talent, he's able to unlock that talent. And that's where Cooper Cousins comes in at right guard. That's where Nolan Rucci couldn't do much of anything at Wisconsin, and now all of a sudden, boom, one of the best linemen in the college football playoffs. So.
Yeah. So now behind them, at left tackle, I got Egan Boyer, the redshirt freshman. I have heard some solid things from him from the people I have been able to talk to about the offensive line. Seen him in practice. He's always been impressive since he got on campus as well. Whether that's what I've seen or one of our, talking to Zach Sacco, Colin Chrisley, what they've seen out of him. So I have him starting at left tackle or backing up Sheldon at left tackle. Javen Williams is kind of the 6th guy I think in the room this fall. Going to take over that JB Nelson role of being a tackle/guard swing guy. So we could see him at left guard if needed. Could probably see him at right guard, right tackle. Where he plays is kind of going to be fluid, but he's going to be in for playing time. Dominic Rulli will back up Cooper Cousins. Though TJ Shanahan, Dominic Rulli would back up Nick Dawkins at center. TJ Shanahan, who I also have backing up Cooper Cousins at right guard, could also potentially play center if needed. Shanahan won, I think, the award for most improved player offensively this year, or shared that award this spring. So, Penn State's depth at the position is pretty good. Not too much inexperience there. Shanahan has experience in the in the SEC. Dominic Rulli has had some playing time. Williams has seen the field. Only guy who's really hadn't had a ton of playing time is Egan Boyer, but he did see snaps last year as well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a solid little group.
Tight end?
Yeah, why did I miss tight end? I did miss tight end. Jeez, I
completely
skipped over
it. It's because I segued to offensive line.
Yeah, see, I was excited for the segue. That's the
Not too
problem.
much to talk about tight end.
Mhm.
A lot of guys were banged up this spring in that room. So I got
Yeah.
Phil Dinkins starting. I just think, he stayed fully healthy throughout the spring. If he stays fully healthy throughout the fall, probably gives him a bit of an edge over everybody else right now. So I have him as the
Mhm.
starter for week 1 against Nevada. 2 and 3, I think it's going to. I have Luke Reynolds right now ahead of Andrew Rappleyea just because Rappleyea is coming off that significant injury from last year.
Mhm.
Reynolds, no significant history right now. Sorry,
Fair.
no significant injury right now.
Well, you're partially
Was
right on the other part too.
was banged up a little bit. Really impressed when he was on the field last year as a true freshman. They
Mhm.
trusted him in some really big situations. Obviously, the one that comes out top of my mind is the fake punt against Minnesota.
Very true.
He had a reception against Boise State in the playoffs. So I got Reynolds as the 2 guy right now, but Rappleyea could very easily be that number 2 guy as well. It probably should be an or situation. And
Okay.
right now, Joey Schlafer is my 4th guy there in that room, redshirt sophomore. Don't really
Mhm.
see any of the true freshmen really breaking onto the field all too much this year. Brian Kordovich saw quite a bit of time in the blue-white game, but I think that was more so out of necessity.
Yeah.
Andrew Olish still needs to gain more weight to play tight end. Now, they want to put him a wide receiver a little bit this fall. That could be interesting, and the size would fit. But if he's going to play tight end, he still needs to gain another 20, 30, 40 pounds at least. Well, 20 pounds at least, up to 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And Matt Henderson isn't even on campus yet. So
Fair.
I think those 4 are going to be the main 4 this year. Doesn't have the experience past production as the room has had the last few years, but a lot of high end talent in that room still. Reynolds and Rappleyea will be really good. Dinkins is a very solid option. He may be the starter, but I still think he's probably going to be the number 2 tight end in terms of targets, maybe 3, depending on Rappley's return this year and how quickly he comes along.
Mhm.
And then Joey had a good spring, had a nice spring game. Somebody who could maybe emerge.
Yeah. Well, good for them. That's it for the offensive portion. Stay tuned for our next episode. We're going to do a defensive portion also. That's going to come out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that on happyvalleyinsider.com, aka pennstate.rivals.com. YouTube channel down below. Hit subscribe. It's free. It's easy. It's simple. Hit you with the promo code. Hit you with everything else. Anything else here before? Let's do a little recruiting tidbits. Just because there is a couple notable things. Let's start with Mohamed Toure's. Actually, I guess that's more of a question for myself. Just because I'm uniquely qualified for this one. Mohamed Toure visited campus Tuesday. His brother Vabu Toure is his safety at Penn State. He visited Miami on Wednesday, has Florida State on Thursday, and is expected to be at Indiana Saturday. And will make a decision likely after that Indiana visit, after he goes home after the weekend, sits with his family, sits with his advisors, and just tries to figure out what's the best situation in terms of playing time, in terms of fit, and in terms of obviously money at the end of the day, because it's going to cost whoever gets him a nice little pretty NIL check. 2026 Alexander Haskell sets his decision date for May 9th, it was, I think.
Yeah.
May 9th.
Yeah.
We know he has a top 4 of Duke, Michigan, Penn State, Syracuse. Where do you think stand?
I think it's a Penn State Michigan battle. Talking to our Michigan guys before, sounds like maybe Michigan has the advantage after this latest visit. But Penn State's been in this one for quite a while. It's one of those recruitments, and I've said it multiple times this cycle. The longer these recruitments tend to go, the worse you kind of feel about Penn State's chances at times, especially guys that they once led for. They definitely once led for Haskell. Definitely somebody we probably almost future casted to Penn State. Never did. It has dragged on. Michigan has gained momentum. I would, based off what I've heard about Michigan, I'd maybe lean towards Michigan, but that was also, post visit high Haskell. Is that post visit high still there? We'll see. But it's a Penn State Michigan battle. We know that. So stay tuned on Happy Valley Insider for the latest there. We'll find out in just 8 days, but we'll be sure to hopefully have the scoop before then.
Big recruiting visitor this weekend, Brandon Arrington, one of the top prospects in the entire country. Where do we feel kind of Penn State lands with this one, for the sole fact that he's got every offer in the book, basically?
Yeah, so
He's
This
got
is a great
40,
time.
43 total.
Great time to plug my article over on Head Valley Inside, which is the latest on each Penn State official visitor, part
There
one.
you go.
There'll be in a part two on Friday as well.
Nice.
But I covered in this first part every official visitor that will be on campus in May, which includes Brandon Arrington this weekend. My bottom line with Brandon Arrington was don't hold your breath. Is Penn State going to have a chance? Yes, they're going to have a chance. They're getting an official visit. And I've always said, never count out Penn State when they have an official visit. That being said, uphill battle, Texas A&M, Oregon, USC. Penn State is very much the odd team here out in terms of furthest team on the East. Texas A&M has been involved for a long time. Oregon, USC have also been involved. I think there's a good chance he stays on the West Coast. If he doesn't, I think obviously A&M would be kind of the school here to watch. It's a testament to Penn State as a program for that they've ended up in this grouping for Arrington. It just right now I don't expect him to land at Penn State. If he does, it is a major recruiting win, but
it's fair.
I can't sit here and say that I expect him to land at Penn State.
I know he has a future cast already for Texas A&M. That's been submitted from our Texas A&M writer Landon since October.
Yeah, and Oregon and USC, they're going to make it tough for A&M to win this recruitment too.
Yeah, I mean, number 8 kid in the country. It's going to be a really tough land. Would be cool if they did. Obviously,
it would be an insane recruiting win, but
help their recruiting haul. One more person I have to ask you about, and you're kind of uniquely qualified for this one. 2026 tight end target Pierce Peterson just had a visit from Ty Howell. Where do things kind of stand there? Because it sounded like it was all Minnesota, then Penn State got involved, and now it's shifting a little bit.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Fantastic athlete. Love his potential on both sides of the ball because Minnesota's recruiting him as a linebacker.
Okay,
they see him as a linebacker.
He plays quarterback, right?
He plays quarterback.
So
Penn State sees him as a tight end. Now they also saw a similar.
See where we're going now?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it may ultimately come down to what does and somebody's going to be like no shit. So let me say that first. It's ultimately coming down to what does Pierce want to play?
Yeah.
Does he want to be a linebacker? Or does he want to be a tight end? And how much is staying at home and being a gopher mean to him? Minnesota has made it very hard for the top in-state prospects to leave the state.
Yeah.
And in the last few cycles, and when they have, they usually come back home within a year or two. Off the top of my head, I think out of the last 5 years, I think 4 right now are four of the top players in Minnesota have stayed at home. They already have the top 2027 guy committed as well. So Minnesota will make this one really tough for Pierce to leave. But it's if you're, we'll see how much he wants to play tight end. But if he has interest in playing tight end, it's hard to pass up Penn State's development at tight end, especially with athletes like him. He could very well easily fit into that, next Penn State star tight end mold. So I'm going to be really interested to see what he does. Very quiet kid, especially since his recruitment picked up. It was a little bit easier to talk to him when it was just kind of Minnesota. But since his recruitment picked up, he's gotten a lot more quieter. But
as they all do.
Yeah, so going to be interested to see. But I'm a huge fan of Pierce. He would be my top prospect in Minnesota for this cycle.
Last but not least, I need to talk about this.
The wall. Oh,
what is this?
The Jordan brand.
What is this bad boy? Look at that. And I love the cursive Penn State. It is just a
It does look almost
look.
purple from this angle, but
yeah, and it might be the camera. It might be no, you don't need that. It might be the camera. It might be whatever, but the Jordan logo.
Yeah. That's nice. It's one of those
You threw a Jordan logo on those blue and white unis? Oh my!
Must be
Lord.
one of those
like a little sexier.
One of those program exclusives right there. But that is really cool.
That is very pretty. I'm just saying, if Jordan's about to do what I think they're about to do, I don't think they're going to do it, to be honest with you. But would be a hell of a like, addition. and just to watch, it'd be sick to see the Jordan logo on those. And I get it; they're very basic. They're traditional uniforms. Don't ever change them. But slapping a Jordan logo on it just makes it like that little tweak makes that uniform so much nicer. And maybe that's just me being a young head and just saying like I grew up with Jordan shoes being a thing every other week, new collection, new release.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool. That's all we got for today, guys. Stay tuned, like I said, for tomorrow's episode on the defensive depth chart. We'll have that out soon. Stay tuned for Dylan's articles on the official visitors.
Yeah, may have to break the next part into two more parts just because I think there's another like 50 prospects to go over. So I may have to, for my my brain, just going may have to break that into two more articles. Plus, I don't know how many people want to read an article on 50 prospects. So
no. Yeah, well, I mean, hey, that's what we're here for. So.
That's true, but they could do it twice.
That's true, too. But for me and Dylan, that's another episode of the Penn State 365 podcast. Signing off.